So I'm already super excited for Biomutant, a game that's going to release later this month on the 25th, so basically like a little bit over 2 weeks from this point on, but everything that I've seen up until this point looks very promising. It seems to be like a really cool little RPG over there that ticks a lot of the boxes that I like seeing in games like these, like a very beautiful and vibrant open world, packed filled with secrets, and more important, it comes in with a very robust character progression system that is also helped by the combat that just seems next level. Like, I really like everything I'm seeing so far with Biomutant, which is why I wanted to cover some of these things that you should know as we're heading over to the launch, and more important, if you're going to be playing it on the 25th of May. As always, a like on this video would be super awesome, and let's jump right into it. By the way, you can also get Biomutant 36% cheaper with my code link down below, so all you have to do is to follow the link down below and then check out Instant Gaming, as they sell the game on Steam and the Xbox One for really cheap right now. But with that out of the way, let's begin with the beginning, which is going to be the character creation screen, and you already have 6 total breeds right here to choose between right from the very start. Now, for the most part, these breeds will affect the stats that you will see right there onto the right side. So some of them might have bigger boost towards melee damage, some of them might be better at tanking, so they might have better HP boost or vitality, while others might be more suited towards spellcasting, so they will provide bigger bonuses towards intellect, and there's all kinds of matchups between these, including like more balanced ones that kind of do everything but don't really excel in anything. Now, of course, from this point on, you have all of the options to customize the character, like the color of the fur, the patterns and whatnot. You also get sliders on how you want to like distribute all of these stats, and the way you distribute them will physically affect that character. So if you put in more strength, it's going to become buffer. If you put more vitality, it's going to become fatter. If you put agility, it's going to be like just more agile, more athletic and whatnot. Intelligence just makes your head really big, while charisma like puts a big grin onto your face, which looks really awesome. So you will want to play around with these depending on how you want to specialize your character, but I would assume that this is something that people will do on their second playthrough, because you need to discover things in the game first to know what's ahead of you. Now, the game does make use of a class system, and there's going to be 6 of these in total in the game, though in this screen we can only see 5. Reason being is that the 6th one, which is the mercenary, is reserved towards people who have pre-ordered the game, so you can either get it like that or then separately as a DLC once the game launches. But even the first 5 classes already get you covered with pretty much everything. So we have the Deadeye, which is pretty much the all-arounder, as it can use both melee attacks as well as ranged weapons. Then we have the Commando, which is mostly specialized towards ranged weapons, so you get a bonus towards that. The Scythe Freak, which seems to be the most unique of them all. It's kind of like the designated spellcaster, so it looks really cool. It also gets a bonus ability from the very beginning with that spark ability and more ways to regenerate ki. The Saboteur, which to me looks like an assassin slash rogue type of class, with each hand having one hander in it. And finally the Sentinel, which kind of aims towards being a tank with more armor and whatnot, but also using a 2-hander crush weapon, as Biomutant names these types of weapons. But this brings me to the world of Biomutant, and this is one of the most impressive aspects of the game. Not only does it look lush, vibrant and beautiful, but it is going to be packed with a ton of secrets, things to collect, and more important, things to visit. There's multiple factions in the game. We know so far there's 6 of them in total that you can even actually like meet up and then join them in order to fight wars with other factions and whatnot. And yeah, I really enjoy how they made them different from one another. So the only question is, what's more to it, to these factions that we haven't seen up until this point? Well, this also brings us to the next part of the exploration, which is going to be the way you traverse the world of Biomutant. And you don't do it on foot. Well, you can do it on foot, but you have so many other means to do it. We saw a few of these in the gameplay previews, and we have everything from mounts all the way up to flying objects and other tools that we can use to traverse the terrain. So yes, we absolutely have access to these organic beings or creatures that are randomly scattered in the world, likely through, well, just simply taming, but there's other specialized types of vehicles that seem to be more aimed towards certain zones, like we saw the mech suit, which is going to be helpful in those polluted areas where we can't really survive, but that thing is going to protect us from the hazard and also seems to have its own functionality and even upgrade system that we know up until this point. There's plenty more. We even saw like a jet ski that seems to be very fun, like you can go over the water, seems to be way better than swimming at the very least. And then there's also that balloon that seems to be probably the best at the very least because you're flying with it and you also get to descend whenever you want or wherever you want, which seems to be very convenient, but I would expect this to be a very late type of unlock as it's usual with these types of games. But this brings me to the character progression and the combat, and I think that these are maybe even like stronger than the exploration just by the huge amount of things you can collect, craft and use in Biomutant. So just taking a look at the crafting, it already seems very promising, like there's a lot of things you can mix and match, and it mostly boils down to you finding these out, it seems, and then combining them to create your version of an ultimate weapon. Like maybe you find certain parts and you can create like a really awesome type of shotgun or a rifle and whatnot, or maybe create a really powerful sword where you can put all kinds of attachments like the main blade, the hilt, the handle, and then some other parts in there like we saw spikes and all kinds of cool things to make it even more powerful. And not just that, these can also come in with special effects like we saw some with electricity, with fire, with ice, and like everything so far just looks so damn well from the crafting point of view. Now combat is where it goes to the next level, because if you create something cool you also want to use it in combat in the proper way, and luckily enough the game does seem to utilize that very well with the combat, because you kind of are like this small creature that knows kung fu, or at least some version of it. You seem to be very agile and you can like do a lot of cool combos against the enemies. I would imagine that it's also possible with weapons as well, so I really like everything I'm seeing up until now, and really reminds me of Ratchet and Clank if you ever played it. That was literally my childhood series and I played every single one of them up until this day, and this is kind of like that but in an open world game and a little bit more, you know, like a little bit more janky if I were to say so, but in a good kind of way. Now the enemies are another great aspect of the game that I really enjoyed from what I'm seeing up until this point, and there is this concept of, well, world eaters in the world of Biomutant. Essentially these are kind of related to the main story of the game, as in essentially you will eventually have to encounter them, but they seem to be their own versions of like huge bosses that will be significantly different than anything else, and you will need special types of tools to take them down, and you will do so as you progress through the main story. So these already look really awesome, but I really enjoy the rest of the enemy design as well, as enemies come in all shapes and sizes, and again my favorite are the oversized ones. There's no shortage of these, like big brutes, big creatures that cast all types of abilities, and it seems that they also are important to the way the game rewards you, so you will want to go against the beaten path, try to uncover secrets and things in the game, and go against these types of encounters if you want to get cool items and cool unlocks to further progress your character and your build and become even more powerful or get even cooler kinds of gadgets to use in the world of Biomutant. So yeah, this is gonna all be done on the 25th of May, by the way. Now the character progression doesn't just revolve around the combat and the stuff you create. Obviously there's that class system I was talking about, so you do level up as you kill enemies, you do get XP as you complete content and do missions and take down enemy groups, and then you invest those points into certain areas of the game, like improving your combat abilities, melee, or like for example with the range and whatnot. There's also spells from what we know, so there might also be some points into that you can invest. And like so far, if you were looking for an RPG that just works and looks good and like makes time pass by, I think Biomutant might just be the game for that. Like so far, really impressed with everything that I've seen, and we didn't even scratch the surface. So this is it that we know up until this point. As always, if you enjoyed it at any point, it would be awesome if you left a like on it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.